I wasn't like most girls that wanted to be nurses and all that sort of thing. I actually wanted to be an architect. Although at the time I didn't know it was an architect, I just wanted to build houses. I don't know what sparked an interest in architecture. Ever since I was little and used to play with Lego, I just liked to do buildings, build houses and things, and it sort of went on from there really. My dad started off, he worked for the electricity board, and then like many young men he went into the army in World War II. And then when he came out of the army he worked for the council in their rating department, which I suppose is what we'd call today the council tax department, and he worked there until he retired. Mum didn't really do a job as such. She worked in a munitions factory, and then when she married Dad she just became a housewife. Did I play with dolls? I played with dolls I suppose because Mum and Dad bought them for me, but I also liked doing boys sort of games and things, playing with Lego, that sort of thing. I started university in 1980 when I was 18. And I went to Plymouth. It wasn't actually a university at the time, although it is now. It was known as Plymouth Polytechnic. When I went around the Polytechnic, and certainly on my course, there weren't that many young women that were studying. My professors were very different. We tended to have the older professors that taught the technology side, and then the younger ones that were more into design. So I think I had a better relationship with the younger ones than the older ones. Tended to think them a bit of a fuddy-duddy. I think the professors that did the design side were really impressed with my designs. I don't know that the professors who taught me the technical side were as pleased with my work. I have a couple of architects that inspired me. One was Frank Lloyd Wright, an American architect, and especially his design called Falling Water, which I believe is in Pennsylvania, America. And the other one would be Charles Rennie Mackintosh. He was a Scottish architect. He also did some interior designs. And the one house that he designed that I like is the Hill House, which is up in Helensburgh in Scotland. When I started studying my degree, I don't really think I was aware that it was more of a male orientated position than a female. And really it was just the fact that I wanted to design buildings, houses, that made me do it. Nothing to do with whether it was a male job or a female. It was only really when I arrived at the Polytechnic and saw that I was only one of 5 females out of about 30 on the course that I realised that this was maybe a bit more of a man's job. But I didn't really feel I had to prove anything. When I started on my course, the pride I felt was the pride of actually getting onto a course, not the fact that I was a woman doing essentially a man's job. When I was on my course, I can't remember meeting any sexist roadblocks. They came later on. Once I finished my degree, I was lucky enough to get a job in an office in Essex, which was only for the year. My boss, who had the business, had a female secretary, but then he had 4 other staff. 3 were architects, the other one was an office junior. They were all men, so I was the only other female apart from the secretary. So that made me realise even more that it was more of a male profession. It was shortly after I got my job working in the office that I realised that this was more of a male profession. My boss was quite elderly and he was all in for me doing nice pretty drawings on the drawing board. He was quite the old sort of chauvinist type. During your course of working for a year, you were supposed to experience all the different types of working in an office. So it's not just doing drawing, but also meetings and also going on site and seeing how things were built. And I actually had to lie to my professional careers advisor who came to visit to say that I'd done all these things, when in fact I hadn't, because my boss literally wouldn't allow me to go on site because I was female. So that really put me off, and I just thought, this is it, I'm only really going to get wanted for doing pretty drawings, which wasn't what I wanted to do. I then had to have a real good think and decide whether or not that was what I wanted to do, because it then meant going back to university and I had to decide whether to accept that place back or not. And my decision was that no, it wasn't for me. I suppose I do have regrets that maybe I didn't go back and study further and finish the job, because obviously things could have been totally different another 3 or 4 years on from there. But then I'm quite happy in what I'm doing now. My current occupation is a learning support assistant. I work in a primary school in Worthing. I started off because my children came to this school, and I just did the parent volunteering part, and then gradually I got asked if I wanted to take on a more permanent role. This is a really satisfying job. I wouldn't say excited, but I like the idea of getting up every morning and coming into school. I wouldn't say I was always keen to work with children. It wasn't my first idea of a job. It came about through the children being here. I think the thing that probably gives me that special edge is that I'm a little bit silly myself. You're just jealous of my Highland cattle. I don't act my age. I like doing silly things, childish things, and I think that brings me at their level. I met my husband in 1982. I was starting my second year at Polytechnic and he came back to do his 4th year. I'm really proud of him that he carried on and he became qualified, and I'm pleased that because of the knowledge I have that I can help him only in some small little ways. Do I have any regrets? I suppose the only possible regret is that I didn't pursue my architectural career.